In today's video I'm playing through all of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. This is the first brand new Yoshi game in over 7 years, and you can tell it's been a while as Crafted World was made using Unreal Engine 4, while Mysterious Book uses Unreal Engine 5, so yeah, Yoshi's really out here pushing the graphics industry forward. You'll love to see it. Anyway, this game took me over 10 hours to beat, and that also includes the post-game content, which actually turned out to be a really nice surprise. Anyway, Yoshi's awesome book started with a cutscene showing Bowser Jr. with his iconic paintbrush having a rummage around this library, and after he climbed up this giant pile of books, he found this, well, mysterious looking book. He liked the look of this bird that was in there, and as it was shown to be on Yoshi's island, he headed straight there. But then all of a sudden, Yoshi saw his clown car crash to the ground, which was a bit brutal, I can't lie. Like, surely he wasn't surviving that. Junior was nowhere to be found, but he had dropped his book, so the Yoshis checked it out. They started talking to them, and said that his name was Mr. E, and I was 100% convinced at this point that this guy was going to be a twist villain. Like, come on, really, your name is Mr. E. These pages were all about mysterious creatures, and he wanted Yoshi's help with documenting all sorts of data about them. And after I used this magnifying glass and spotted this flower creature, Yoshi got pulled into the page to do a bit of exploring. And I immediately loved how this level looked. I'm glad they didn't go with the whole craft look again, as I was kinda over that by the end of Crafted World. I found the crazy daisy here and just immediately ate it, which marked a new discovery for Yoshi. And the game wants you to try out all sorts of things for the enemies. And what was cool was that it could get on Yoshi's back, and I could use it to make some flowers bloom. They even changed colour as well when I picked up a purple one. You're even rewarded for dunking it in some mud, which was fun. After I pressed this button, this rain cloud appeared, and it made this flower grow into a giant beanstalk or something, which I mean was good for me, but that thing is stuck like that forever now. It can't be happy like that, surely.
Hi, little plant.
I also realised after that Yoshi has a triple jump in this game and can even slide down hills, and doing that led me to this little pond where I finally got the mud off of me. And after I slid down some more slopes, I made these 3 giant flowers bloom, which meant that I had now completed the first level. Mr. E then marked all of my discoveries in these pages, and there were so many. I really wasn't expecting there to be that much interaction with the level and the enemies, but really, that's what this game is all about. The Yoshis then agreed to help him out with completing more pages, and what was cool was that I got to pick which Yoshi I wanted to play as next. I decided to go with this orange Yoshi, as it reminded me of the Spice Orange GameCube, which might be the best Switch profile picture, other than the Tomodachi Life Frog. That one's pretty good as well. And so I had a look at the page again, and found this weird looking thing, so I decided to play that one's level next. Mr. E said it might have been a fruit, and I don't know what he was going on about, as it turned out to be a beehive, and these things were vicious, man. I had to be careful not to get stung. They ended up stealing all of the smiley flowers, and to beat this level, I needed to collect all of them. What was useful was that I found out that I could use the daisy from before as bait to get them away from the smiley flower. I felt a bit bad about doing this, but it had to be done. Yoshi needed them flowers. And while these bees were scary, I realised during this that Yoshi just straight up can't die. Like, there was no health bar on the screen. This has definitely been a point of contention with this game for a lot of people, and I get what they mean, but I think as this game is more about exploring the levels and trying out different things with the enemies, I don't really see what adding lives to it or something would really add to it. Like, the game isn't about getting from point A to point B without dying. Really, I guess the game is mostly about the enemies trying to survive Yoshi's little experiments that he does with them. Anyway, after I survived that death trap, I picked out my next creature, and I went with this Lotad looking duck thing. Kamek, who's also known as Cody, was in this level, and he was looking around for Junior. He eventually buggered off, and I got to meet the mysterious creature here. When I jumped on it, it started singing, and this really reminded me of the singing piranhas in Mario Wonder. I needed to keep jumping on them to keep the song going, which got me a smiley flower alongside some new discoveries. You'd think the final one would be like a Mario song or something, but it turned out to be Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, which was kinda far, I can't lie, that is a classic song. After that level, I investigated these little dandelion looking things, and they were kinda crazy as they just kept multiplying the more I interacted with them. They can do a lot though. They can attach onto rocks to let me break them, and they can even drain water as well. They do seem kinda dangerous though, as they can even infect other creatures to make them all fluffy. I genuinely think they could take over the whole world if they wanted to. Anyway, during the next level I finally found Bowser Jr, and he said that it was looking for the Bewilder Bird, and he went off with Kamek to go and look for it. And I was really excited for this level as it had this bubble frog enemy in it. I could use it to float around in some bubbles, which let me get up to some high places, and when I fed it this apple it turned orange, and its bubbles got bigger, which was quite useful. I also eventually fed it some chili peppers, which lit its gob on fire and made it spit out these dangerous red bubbles. At the end of the level, Junior and Kamek found themselves trapped in a bubble, and I had to pop it to help them out. And that was the entire World 1 boss fight. Like, that was it. I just had to pop a bubble. And after Kamek blamed me for that, which I don't really get, like, come on, I just saved both of you, they flew off again, and I'd now completed the level. The Wildwoods chapter was now complete, so I can now start chapter 2, which took place at the Mountaintops. But just before I did that, this new little red frog note appeared on the bees page, so I went there to investigate that first. It was the same level and area as before, but this time I could use the frog to defeat all of the bees and their hives a lot easier. These red bubbles must have been toxic or something, as they just easily destroyed everything. I felt like the Verminator from Over the Hedge doing this.
Reptile.
And this is basically how they get you to replay the levels in this game. And I don't really mind it, as the levels do feel pretty different when you get to use an entirely different enemy in them. There's also the shadow that appeared that rewarded me with a bunch of coins for finding a new discovery in a level. But I found a better way of getting coins was by scanning some amiibo, as I got quite a few for doing this. Although it is kind of sad that this is all you get nowadays. Like, I scanned my Yoshi amiibo and was really hoping to unlock a Woolly World outfit for Yoshi, but I just got coins. I gotta say, Woolly World had so many good amiibo outfits in it. But anyway, after all of that, I finally started World 2, and the first creature I investigated was this little rabbit. And this thing could move, but I ended up knocking it down this pit, which I felt a bit bad about. But not long after that, I found this pink one, and it ended up stealing me. I needed to find all 5 of these little characters to finish this level. And the gold one was cool, as it dropped loads of coins as I ran with it. These guys just grabbed whatever they could get their hands on, and I even used them like little Pikmin to pull this turnip out of the ceiling. But after playing tag with all of them, we became friends and I finished the level. The next level was interesting as it was an auto-scroller, and it had me floating around amongst these clouds. I needed to jump on them to add them to my main group, and I liked how they eventually turned into a boat. That was quite charming. I need to be careful not to lose them though, as these clouds were on a mission. They were going crazy. I think I gathered all of them as I was playing, and I eventually reached the end of the level and said goodbye to my cloud friends. What was probably my favourite level in this game though was the one with these little pink things. I spotted one of them on the box art of the game, and I was confused as this is literally just Kirby. Well, if you had no arms. The game described this creature as having a swollen body, and these guys were just really goofy waddling around like that. And after I ate one, it was almost like bubblegum, and Yoshi could blow it back up like a balloon. And I could then burst it to get a bit of a higher jump. I was curious to see what would happen if I sunk in their little pool, and Yoshi ended up getting trapped inside of one, which was kind of funny. I eventually went inside this volcano, which I guess was their nest, and I just kept popping them, which led to a giant one appearing. And once I popped that one, the level exit finally appeared. And yeah, I really liked that level. There's just something satisfying about it. Oh yeah, I could name all of these creatures that I was investigating. So for this one, I went with the name Curb, which I know is probably a dead meme, but I had to do it. The next level wasn't anything too crazy. I basically just used this little creature to hit some targets. While the one after that had me floating around using this umbrella enemy. I even ended up finding a golden one. The final level in World 2 had me meeting up with Kamek and Junior again. And after they flew off, I walked across this big green guy, but I ended up getting eaten by him. Thankfully, he didn't fancy eating Yoshi, so he spat him back out. And using this ability, I made my way to this giant turnip that I could feed him. Feeding it to him let me control him, and I could break stuff around the area. And he even ended up drinking the whole pond that was here. Bowser Jr. had gotten himself trapped in this old temple, so I had to use our new green giant friend to free him. These two still weren't grateful for Yoshi's help, but with that done, World 2 was complete. Chapter 3 of the mysterious book took place at the seaside, and the first level I played had me using this creature's fishing pole to, well, do a bit of fishing. The fishing mechanic in this game isn't anything too crazy as you'd expect. Like, catching the smaller fish is really easy, but catching larger fish can actually be pretty tricky. I could also fish for a bit of treasure as well, like smiley flowers. To beat the level, I had to catch this whopper of a fish, and I had to be careful not to let my line get too red, otherwise it would escape. And just after I caught it, I did a little bit more exploring, and I spotted this juicy looking red apple, so I went to eat it, but ended up getting reeled in myself. So yeah, let's just say the scammer got scammed. And I wish I had found this guy sooner, as catching a fish with an apple as bait was really easy, as they all just swam towards it. The level after that was another musical one, and had me this little crab that could play some music, while the one after that was probably the most difficult one so far. It had loads of these spiny looking things, and I had to rescue all of the crazy daisies that were here, but it ended up being gobbled up by one of the spiny things, and Mr. E just said, well, I'm sure you'll save it next time. I carried on playing the level for a little bit after that, but after more of them died, I realised that I had to start again to be able to complete the level, and this generally took me quite a few tries to beat. I think I definitely got a little bit impatient at times with it though. Like, looking back, I probably should have mainly focused on taking out all of the spinies first, before trying to rescue all of the daisies. Some of them needed to be fed apples to be revived, but what was kind of annoying, but also kind of funny, was that the spinies could eat the apples themselves. I needed to revive 2 of them, and as I could only find 2 apples in the whole level, I had to reset if one of the spiny things ate one. There probably is another way of reviving the daisies, but anyway, I eventually saved all of them and finished the level. There was then also another version of this level which had me catching all of the spinies using the fishing guy, and to me this is a perfect example of reusing a level well, as this felt completely different to what I was doing before. In the next level I finally got to do a bit of swimming around using this fish, and this kind of reminded me of that one enemy in Odyssey, as I could jump in and out of the water, and even climb up waterfalls as well. The underwater levels definitely weren't my favourite in Yoshi's story, but this one was actually really fun. I liked swimming around looking for all of the smiley flowers. The end of the level had me swimming down what was apparently a volcano, and this is where the creature I was researching laid all of its eggs, which, I mean, I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but they ended up hatching, so yeah, let's just hope for the best. I grew to hate this fish though, as I had to catch it in this fishing level, and this was really difficult for some reason. For such a small fish, you wouldn't think it would be this insane to catch, but it is. This genuinely brought me back to my Red Dead 2 legendary fish days, which, I'll be honest, I thought were over over. Well, I must have been doing something wrong here, because watching this back is so funny. Like, surely Yoshi shouldn't have to be doing all of that. I definitely needed a more relaxing level after that, so I was quite relieved when the next one just had me surfing on some waves, using this skateboard looking enemy. I had to gather all of its children, I guess, and I also got to do some tricks, which was pretty cool. And after I nailed this jump off of this ship, I found the last mini skateboard and jumped into the exit goal. There was now one enemy left to investigate here at the seaside, and it was this water blob. I met up with Junior and Kamek once again, and followed them around on my new giant water friend. And once I caught up with them, they started attacking me, which was really rude. Like, Yoshi hasn't done anything wrong to them, and they just hate him throughout the whole game. I had to ground pound to knock their cannonballs back into them, and after I destroyed their ship, that was it. They were defeated. And it was now time for chapter 4, and it had me in the settled valley. And I wonder what this little enemy is called here. Like, come on, Mr. E, are we being serious right now? How do you not know what it's called? Anyway, I had to investigate these little guys, and they turned out to be quite shy, so I had to go and find all of them. And once I found one, he started pointing to where the next one was, and I found this pretty funny. Like, he just immediately folded and snitched on one of his friends once Yoshi grabbed him. And to be fair, their hiding spots weren't too bad. I probably would have struggled to find some of them without their help. One even pointed to where one of the smiley flowers were, which was quite nice of it. And after I found all of them, that level was complete, and Mr. E decided to call these enemies Shy Guys, and he must have felt so clever coming up with that. I wasn't a huge fan of the level after that, to be honest, as it mainly had me using this hula hooping bird to knock stuff around, but the one with these exploding guys in it was kinda cool. As you'd probably guess, there was a lot of destruction in this level, but what was kinda horrifying about this level was that when I reached the end of it, I saw something rustling around in this tree, and after I threw an egg at it, one of the enemies popped out, but Mr. E said that apparently its insides had been eaten away by an insect, which I really wasn't expecting, and the little discovery marking said it had been noshed by a bug, which was kinda funny. But anyway, on that depressing note, I finished that level and started this watermelon one. And of course, this level mainly had Yoshi spitting out watermelon seeds like bullets, which is a bit of a classic move in the Yoshi series. These little mouse characters are classic Yoshi enemies, and their level had me rescuing these Shy Guys and taking them back to their home. I could also use these mice to get things like smiley flowers as well. I liked intercepting these two playing catch with one. Anyway, the boss creature here in World 4 was this weird looking lime pig creature. Kamek gave me a warning not to mess with it, which of course I ignored, and I basically got to use it as a drill to destroy loads of stuff. Somehow Kamek and Junior had found this weird spaceship looking thing, so I had to defeat them, and it was pretty easy as this guy is just so powerful. And with those two defeated again, I started chapter 5, which had me in Bug Country. And as the name suggests, this page's levels had loads of bugs and critters in them. And the first level I played had me using this enemy as a net to catch loads of them, and it ate just about anything, to be honest. It could even eat rocks. The level after that was a bit different, as the game genre changed to survival horror, and I had to avoid this giant evil creature that wanted to kill Yoshi. And I guess technically you can die in this level, so I guess Yoshi isn't completely invincible in this game. I needed to find 4 keys to get out of here, and whenever I died with any keys I would lose them, so I had to be careful. There were a few hiding spots which were quite useful, and after a few close calls, I grabbed the Shy Guy that was also trapped here, and used the last key to get out of there. The Shy Guy's house was just outside here, and he should really think about moving somewhere else, as he's literally right outside that nightmare. This Snail Creatures level was next, and it was just weird, man. For some reason they're super tall, and Yoshi could jump between them to get flung around. And also I've got to mention this, I kinda look like the slugs from Flushed Away. Like, does anyone else see that? Anyway, there was then a giant one at the end of the level, which I'll be honest was kind of ominous, and after he got electrocuted, I completed the level. The level after that definitely stuck to the bug theme, as I had this spider creature in it, and I could swing around with its web like Spider-Man, while another level had me throwing this bug around like a boomerang. Anyway, the final level here had me floating and gliding around amongst these creatures, but of course Junior and Kamek showed up again to cause more trouble. They caught loads of the little bugs, so I had to go and free them, and I did it by throwing loads of eggs at them while also trying to avoid the bullet bills that Kamek spawned in. After that though, it's now time for the final chapter, and it took place at the remote isle, which looked kind of familiar. But anyway, the levels here had me hanging out with a bunch of classic Yoshi's Island enemies, such as these birds that I hated in Yoshi's story, which by the way are apparently called Goonies. Nothing too crazy happened in the second level, I just had to round up all of these little polka dot guys, while the one after that felt very similar to that one swimming level from before, except this one had me using a jetpack, and I could use the clouds from before as fuel. A more fun water level was this one though, as it had me in the mouth of this giant green fish destroying stuff. The final level before the boss had me throwing a bit of a party with loads of these musical Shy Guys. I had to get all of them playing some music, and once the band was back together that was it. And now that I completed every level here, the bewildered bird that Junior was after finally showed its face, and I started the final level. It started with Junior throwing this crazy daisy at Yoshi, which actually turned out to be a little baby bewildered bird, and it apparently had the ability to be able to transform into any creature, which meant that I could use the Mysterious Books index page and pick which creature I wanted it to turn into. This was really cool, and it definitely reminds me of Echoes of Wisdom's gameplay. I was kind of wondering while I was playing the game if it was going to be this sort of level where you can just use any creature you like, and I've got to say the game feels completely different when you have this ability. They could probably make a whole separate game like this if I wanted to, so I used this new power and made my way to where Junior and Kamek were, and of course course Junior wanted the Bewilder Bird for himself, so after Yoshi refused to give it to him, Kamek made him giant and the final boss fight began. I again had the freedom to use any creature I liked to defeat him, and I used this boomerang for a little bit, which kinda worked, but once I switched to the weird pig looking thing from before, it was game over for Junior. And it seems like the level was almost made for it, as I could burrow underground to attack him. I could even do it while he was in his shell, and after I used one final ground pound to defeat him, he turned back to normal and was finally defeated. A giant Bewilder Bird then appeared, so both Junior and Kamek decided to head home. The two Bewilder Birds then flew off, and I completed the level. Mr. E then pointed out that the remote isle looked just like the Yoshi's Island, which, I mean, yeah, we all kinda got that, and he said that he had a story for them. He said it began a long time ago when the moon apparently fell from the sky. This was kinda weird, as I didn't know that this game takes place in the same world as Majora's Mask, but there you go, I guess. However, one professor had apparently predicted the disaster and put all of the world's creatures into a compendium for someone to find in the future. And this was of course Mr. E. The Yoshis then agreed to keep helping him out, and after he thanked them, the credits rolled. And I really wasn't expecting Goodfield to be the ones who made this game, as they only just did Princess Peach Showtime 2 years ago, so yeah, fair play to them. There was then a post-credits scene showing that Junior and Kamek didn't know how to get home, and after that, Mr. E said that he added some new pages to his contents, and there were now 4 more worlds for me to explore, which was crazy. I really wasn't expecting that. And he also showed me how to get some exploration tools. I could trade in 5 smiley flowers for one, and you can put them anywhere on the screen to help you out a bit. As an example, this first one that I got was basically a tracker so I could see where the creatures were in a level. Some of them are a bit weird though, like this one which measured Yoshi's heart rate, but a lot of them do sound quite useful, and it's cool how you can essentially make your own HUD. Anyway, these 4 extra worlds really surprised me as they were just as big as the other ones. I'm not going to go into too much detail about these levels. Instead, I'll just mention a couple highlights and just basic stuff that I liked. In the underground chapter, it had me playing a bit of golf with these bugs, and the level with this gas creature was interesting as well, as I could trap creatures in it as well as cause explosions by using fire. But what really surprised me as I was playing through this first post-game chapter was the fact that it continued the story, as I got to see Junior and Kamek again as they were trying to make their way home, and I of course ended up having to rescue them again, as they ended up getting themselves into a bit of trouble. In chapter 8 there was an interesting level where I got to grow my own piranha plant using this pot and a seed. I also really liked the Beyblade level in this chapter as well, that was really fun. And after I rescued Junior and Kamek, I started to question why they were still even in the book, and to be honest I don't think they even knew that they were in there. Anyway, chapter 9 took place in Mini World, and it mainly had me investigating a bunch of levels full of giant enemies. And by the way, in the Crazy Daisy one they reused the sound effect from Peach Showtime, like I instantly recognised it. That's how you know you've played a game a bit too much. Anyway, that level basically just had me giving stuff to them, but the boss in this chapter was really cool, as it took place inside of this giant fish. This really reminded me of Jabu Jabu's belly from Ocarina of Time, and I definitely think this is the best boss fight in the game. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in a Yoshi game before. Once I freed Kamek and Junior, they went out of his mouth, and just before I jumped into the exit portal, I thought I'd see if I could go the same way as them, and it turned out that I could, and I ended up finding this secret little area. I really like that they let you do that, it's fun. Chapter 10 took place on the moon, and this alien level that I played was just straight up freaky. Never in my life would I have thought that I'd play a Yoshi game where there was a level about breeding aliens, but there you go. I had to make different combinations of them, and this just felt wrong, man. You know how in Minecraft you start with 2 cows and then somehow end up with 20? Well, it's the same situation here, so yeah, let's move on. The other moon levels had me doing pretty basic stuff, and when I was floating around on this giant bird, while another had me helping out a UFO with its research, and eventually I started the final level, and after Kamek and Junior got grabbed by this beanstalk, this little alien that Junior had thrown away turned out to be the Bewilder Bird again, so I got to use its ability in the final fight, which turned out to be against the moon itself, and this definitely felt more like a proper final boss fight than the other one, as it had me using quite a few different creatures to defeat it. My one complaint about this though is that I wish it was a bit simpler to switch out what creature I was using, as it was a bit of a faff having to go into the main menu every time. I used the old reliable pig line quite a bit, and the boomerang also turned out to be quite useful. And after I defeated it, both Kamek and Junior finally jumped into the exit portal, and after Yoshi waved goodbye to both of the Bewilder Birds again, he escaped as well. And I've got to say, that larger Bewilder Bird is useless, like it didn't do anything throughout the whole game. Anyway, there was then a nice little cutscene showing both Junior and Kamek safe and sound, and you even get to see them returning to Bowser's castle as well, which was quite sweet. I really didn't expect to see Bowser either. I bet he was glad that they were both back. And after getting that true ending, I guess, the credits rolled once again. And now that I thought was where I was done, but just as I was getting ready to say goodbye to this game, Mr. E said, "Hey, I've got more chapters for you." I couldn't believe that there was more, and the last one required me to have 999 stars as well. I'd been getting these stars for making new discoveries about creatures, and I wasn't actually too far off from what I needed. So I started chapter 11 first, and this one was actually a little bit different from the other chapters in the game. These levels basically have you doing all sorts of different things. For example, the first one had me measuring a bunch of creatures' heights, while another one had me playing hide and seek. Most of these levels were pretty simple, but this one where I had to protect this group of 5 crazy daisies was actually kinda tricky. There were so many enemies after them, and I basically had to be 2 steps ahead of them all the time to keep the daisies safe. I managed to get 2 of the daisies to safety one time, but of course Mr. E said that he wanted at least 3 of them, so I had to reset. Once I got to a certain point, I ended up just taking them across to the end one at a time, as that just seemed like the safest option to me, and this did eventually work. Most of the other levels in this chapter are pretty simple. I like this musical one where you get to play the Yoshi's Island theme, and once I completed all of them, I was only missing a few stars, so after I replayed one of the levels a couple of times, I'd finally gotten enough stars to take on Mr. E's final challenges. There were 6 of these, and the first one had me in this level where the floor was exploding, and I had to throw these bombs that were around to clear the path in front of me. I actually managed to do this on my first try, which was pretty nice, and so after that, I moved on to the next one. In this level, I needed to protect this apple from all of these mice that were around. There were some tricky parts, and I somehow managed to get the apple back once when one of the mice stole it from me, but really, I think this level just requires a bit of patience, and I did eventually complete it. One of the easiest challenges was this next one, as all I had to do was just catch a bunch of these neon bugs in the time limit. There was a bit of room for error here, which was nice, and after enough practice, I eventually completed it. The one after that required me to avoid this bug that tried to grab me, and I felt a bit bad about using the daisies as bait, but it did work. I just needed to keep the momentum going in this level, like there was no time to hesitate. I needed to be quick, especially while I was climbing up those vines, and I did eventually manage to beat it. The one after that was a bit more difficult, as I needed to protect this cloud formation that I was on from all of the enemies that were around. A single group of enemies could take out like half my squad, so I had to get rid of them quickly, though my eggs turned out to be just as dangerous, so I had to be careful throwing them around as well. On my successful run, I got to the end with only 3 clouds left, and I was so relieved that I'd done it. It was now time for the final and most difficult challenge yet though, and it was called Hop or Drop. Mr. E said it was exceptionally difficult and warned me not to get too frustrated, and I just laughed at this. I thought there was no way this was going to be difficult. I mean, this is Yoshi in a mysterious book we're talking about. You don't even have a health bar in this game, but this level was just horrible, man. It had me on this pogo enemy, and thinking about it now, it was basically just a Happy Wheels level. I had to pogo around this cave, and I'll be honest, this isn't the most fun thing to control. I mean, does it look like it is? You're just constantly moving and jumping around on it, and they wanted me to do wall jumps like this was Mario 64 or something. Don't even get me started on the moving mushrooms as well, like what were they thinking? The annoying thing is, the level isn't even that long, but just getting to that final jump you need to do is horrible. And the worst part was that I didn't even know what to do for the final jump, as there wasn't a practice mode or anything. I basically just had to improvise. I thought I completed this level in like less than 10 minutes, but yeah, let's just say it took a lot longer than that. This is definitely the most difficult part of any Switch 2 Nintendo game I played. Like, this was crazy. Sometimes it just felt like the game was out to get me as well. Like, of course I had to fall down that one specific hole. Climbing the final mushrooms was really scary as well, as I had to get just enough height to be able to reach them. Eventually I got back to the final mushroom, and I just kept throwing myself into the wall, and I somehow managed to land on the right spot and jumped up, which got me to the end. And I was so happy that I'd done it and that it was finally over. My reward for beating it was getting to see what the professor looked like who made the mysterious book. And are you actually serious right now? No way they really got Charlie from Smiling Friends in this. That's just who I want to see after going through all of that. Anyway, as a reward for completing all of those chapters and challenges, Mr. E gave me this stamp. And you can actually pull it on the hood if you want to, which I found kind of cool. But with all that completed, that was my entire Yoshi and the Mysterious Book experience. And I was kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed this game. Like, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I think it is my favourite Yoshi Switch game now. I'm sorry, Crafted World, it just is how it is. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Definitely make sure to subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.